In the golden age of the ancient world, where civilizations rose and fell like the tides of the Nile and empires burned their stories into stone and parchment, there once stood a beacon of learning so profound, so magnificent, that it became synonymous with the very concept of knowledge itself, a temple not to gods of war or wealth but to reason, science, philosophy, and the collective wisdom of humanity. And that temple was the Library of Alexandria, the greatest repository of ancient thought ever conceived, born in the bustling port city of Alexandria in Egypt. Founded by Alexander the Great and destined to become a crossroads of cultures, where Greek, Egyptian, Persian, Indian, and Mesopotamian ideas converged in a melting pot of intellect and innovation, and as the center of the Hellenistic world, Alexandria was no ordinary city, it was a dream-given shape, a city of marble colonnades, lighthouses, and sprawling boulevards, and at its heart lay the Mouseion, a research institution modeled on Plato's Academy, housing astronomers, poets, mathematicians, doctors, and thinkers, funded lavishly by the Ptolemaic kings, especially Ptolemy I and his successors, who believed that knowledge was power and set out to collect every book, scroll, and tablet in existence, scouring the known world for texts in every language, every subject, every discipline, from astronomy to anatomy, from mathematics to metaphysics, from drama to divination, and the librarians, chief among them Xenodidus, Eratosthenes, Callimachus, and later, possibly even Hypatia, catalogued and translated these works into Greek, preserving oral traditions, organizing texts by genre and author, and producing indexes and summaries, essentially laying the groundwork for modern libraries and scientific methodology. And within those halls, great minds such as Archimedes, Euclid, Herophilus, and Galen expanded the boundaries of human understanding, charting the stars, calculating the Earth's circumference, performing anatomical dissections, and debating the nature of the cosmos. All while thousands upon thousands of scrolls lined the walls. Some estimates claim 400,000, others 700,000, possibly over 1 million each, containing knowledge from ancient India, Persia, Babylonia, and beyond, including lost works by Aeschylus, Sophocles, Sappho, and countless others whose voices now live only in fragments. And yet, for all its glory, for all its intellectual firepower, the Library of Alexandria would not endure, for knowledge is fragile, and history is cruel, and the story of its destruction is as mysterious as it is tragic, a puzzle with many pieces and no single answer, because the library did not vanish in one single blaze, as legend often suggests, but rather died a slow death, 1,000 papyrus cuts over centuries of war, political instability, religious upheaval, and neglect. And the first blow may have come in 48 BCE when Julius Caesar pursued his rival Pompey into Egypt and became entangled in the civil war between Cleopatra and her brother Ptolemy XIII, and during the siege of Alexandria, Caesar ordered the burning of ships in the harbor, and that fire spread, according to some sources like Plutarch and Dio Cassius, to warehouses near the docks where scrolls were stored, though others claim the main library was untouched. And perhaps the scrolls lost then were only a fraction, but the precedent was set, knowledge could burn, and it would again, for over the next centuries. The library likely suffered during the reigns of Roman emperors indifferent to Greek scholarship, and further damage may have occurred under Emperor Aurelian's reconquest of the city in the 3rd century, or during the Diocletianic persecutions, and by the time of Theodosius I, in the late 4th century, Christianity had become the dominant religion, and pagan temples and institutions were being shuttered or destroyed, leading to the closure of the Serapeum, another possible annex of the library, by zealous mobs encouraged by Bishop Theophilus, who saw the pagan wisdom within its walls not as enlightenment but heresy. And though the library's core may have survived in some form, it was undoubtedly diminished, scattered, vulnerable, and when Hypatia, the brilliant Neoplatonist philosopher, mathematician, and astronomer, was brutally murdered by a Christian mob in 415 CE, her death symbolized not just the loss of a great mind but the symbolic end of an era of open inquiry. And yet the final chapter may not have come until centuries later, in 642 CE. When the Muslim general Amr ibn al-As captured Alexandria during the Rashidun Caliphate, and according to a much later and highly disputed account by a 12th century writer, the Caliph Umar allegedly decreed that if the books in the library agreed with the Quran, they were redundant, and if they contradicted it, they were heretical, and so the scrolls were said to have been burned to heat bathhouses for 6 months. But this tale, though dramatic, is likely apocryphal, as no contemporary Islamic sources mention such an act, and many Muslim scholars of the time were deeply committed to learning and preservation. suggesting that by the 7th century, the library was already a hollow shell, long emptied of its treasures, forgotten under layers of time and conquest, its scrolls repurposed, decayed, or lost to dampen insects, and thus the world's greatest archive of ancient wisdom simply ceased to be, not with a single fire but with apathy, erosion, and the slow turning of historical tides, and in that loss, we feel a wound that transcends history, for what was lost in Alexandria was not merely scrolls but potential, ideas unborn, cures undiscovered, philosophies unspoken. A parallel timeline of progress that might have leapt forward centuries earlier had the knowledge survived intact, and though some fragments have endured rediscovered in Islamic Golden Age texts, copied by monks, preserved in Arabic or Latin translations, the grand vision of universal knowledge gathered in one place has never truly been realized again, making the Library of Alexandria both a symbol of human greatness and a cautionary tale of impermanence, reminding us that the preservation of wisdom is not guaranteed. That the torch of knowledge must be guarded with vigilance, and today, as we build digital archives and launch data into space aboard Voyager and other probes, we still chase the dream of Alexandria, a place where every voice, every thought, every story can be stored, studied, and shared without fear of loss, and in that pursuit, the spirit of the library lives on, a ghost in the code, a whisper in the stacks, a phoenix waiting to rise again from the ashes of our forgetfulness.